Suicide Squad director David Ayer had stated that his version of the film will be released by James Gunn when the time is right for the DCU. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. James Gunn co-created the DCU alongside Peter Safran as we know it. He also tried to eliminate any and every influence or connection that his cinematic universe would have had with Zack Snyder's DCEU. To clarify certain things, David Ayer was the director of the 2016 film Suicide Squad starring Will Smith, Margot Robbie, Jared Leto, and others. However, upon release, the film was a commercial as well as a critical failure. However, some connections are simply too strong to be broken. One such connection that can be a part of the DCU is David Ayer's Suicide Squad. More specifically, the unreleased Suicide Squad Ayer cut. Well, Zack Snyder's Justice League was released and fans found hope that David Ayer's The Ayer cut would also be released soon. However, it has been almost 9 years since the release and we don't have any updates about it. James Gunn even promised David Ayer back in 2023 that his film would be released when the time is right, but when is the right time? According to Ayer, the executives forced him to cut several sections while Jared Leto's involvement as Joker was almost removed entirely. David Ayer stated that if the Ayer cut, his version of the 2016 film, was ever released, fans would truly appreciate it. In a very heartfelt message, Ayer stated that James Gunn had promised him that when the time was right, he would eventually release the Ayer cut sooner or later, which the director shared via X. All I know is my unseen film plays much better than the studio release. The interest in my cut being shown seems real and organic. And Gunn told me it would have its time to be shared. He absolutely deserves to launch his DC universe without more drama about old projects. Well, it was the year 2023 when David Ayer was once again talking about Suicide Squad and his Ayer cut. One fan asked him about why he continued to talk about the Ayer cut despite the internet losing interest in it. Maybe it is a tad bit late to release the Ayer cut now, or maybe James Gunn is simply holding it for a better time when his version of the DCU is ready for another bunch of villains teaming up together. Till then, David Ayer and his tiger might just roam around for a while. Suicide Squad, the studio version, currently stands at a rating of 5.9/10 on IMDb and a low of 26% on Rotten Tomatoes. The film is available too. In a way, I'm chained to this thing. I'm riding a tiger here and navigating this situation the best I can. Life is a very strange journey. And although David Ayer is riding on a tiger, it seems that the leash is with Mr. James Gunn and he doesn't seem to be letting this tiger roam in the wild. It has been 2 years since Ayer wrote about James Gunn, but there have been no updates about the same. In an episode of Josh Horowitz's Happy Sad Confused podcast, the conversation turned to how James Gunn felt about the direction the MCU was going in after making the jump, and whether there was any unfinished business there. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. If you are James Gunn, life is going good. Or at least it has the promise to. At the helm of the DC Universe reboot, the CEO of DC Studios has the chance to weave a story, nay, a universe, like no other. And he begins his endeavor with David Corenswet's Superman, Legacy. While most of the conversations with Gunn nowadays revolve around what he is doing, he is often also made to answer for the works he has done in the past. And on the top of that list are his works on the other side of the comic book divide. James Gunn reveals that he wanted to do a Ravagers show, along with a legendary Star-Lord and Rocket and Groot project in the MCU, Lost. James Gunn reveals 3 Guardians of the Galaxy spin-offs that may now never see the light of day. To be honest, Rocket and Groot is what Guardians 3 was. So I wanted to do Rocket and Groot first. And it was turned into Guardians 3, instead of Rocket and Groot. 'Cause I know I needed to tell Rocket's story. While his dream to bring the first 2 to fruition bore no fruit, the last was not really in vain. He continued. Answering the latter, the 58-year-old clarified that there were indeed projects which he wanted to explore, and some which he did get to explore, but not how he would have wanted to. https://twitter.com/cosmic_marvel/status/1864676445961724315. Replying to a question from Horowitz, Gunn revealed that there were 3 projects which he had in mind. He said, "There are so many. The Ravager show, I thought would be a fun thing. Legendary Star-Lord. Very frankly, we had a whole idea for that. And then, Rocket and Groot. While he did not get the creative freedom to make those decisions happen, he still looks forward to how the characters pan out going forward. To be honest, Rocket and Groot is what Guardians 3 was. So I wanted to do Rocket and Groot first. And it was turned into Guardians 3, instead of Rocket and Groot. 'Cause I know I needed to tell Rocket's story. While his dream to bring the first two to fruition bore no fruit, the last was not really in vain. He continued, while his words will more than likely turn out to be true, one can't rule out the fact that they will return. That is all set to happen, albeit with a new team and a new name. And the director has just one advice for anyone who takes up the mantle going forward: try to do something new. Taking into account the ending of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it is anything but certain that the Guardians as we know them won't be back ever. He said, I don't think there will ever be a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4. There's many reasons this group will not be back. There could be more Guardians movies, but it won't be with this group. While he is excited for whatever the future holds for Marvel, his attention is most likely turned to July 2025, when Superman Legacy hits the theaters. I think as long as somebody brings themselves to it, and doesn't just try to copy that style, I think it can be really amazing. And there are so many directors I would like to do that. I would love to see it happen. Lois Lane was pregnant in Justice League, and Zack Snyder was planning for him to become the next Batman. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Zack Snyder's Justice League was the foundation of his DCEU. It was supposed to be the root of his universe, setting up the futures of the entire Justice League and hinting at their potential futures. Although the plans were scrapped and DC Studios moved on from the visions that the director had for the franchise, it continues to have a special place in the hearts of the fans, specifically what could have been. One of the many potential storylines that Snyder wanted to follow was that of Clark Kent. While it was hinted that Lois Lane would end up dying, this wasn't the only storyline that was teased for her character. It would seem that Lane was pregnant with Clark Kent's child, and the direction that this story was going to take is extremely crazy. After seeing a pregnancy test in her drawer, fans believed it to be Chekhov's gun and were convinced that she was pregnant. Naturally, why would the plot device be introduced if the filmmaker did not intend to use it? With so much speculation, Snyder was asked about the test, and his answer was more direct than anyone expected. She's definitely pregnant. In an interview with Esquire, Zack Snyder dropped a bomb on DC fans in the biggest way possible. While fans often have theories related to a superhero film and it isn't anything new, it is rare for it to actually be true. After watching Zack Snyder's Justice League, fans had a theory about Lois Lane that seemed almost far-fetched. However, it would seem that Snyder was planning someone closer to Dick Grayson or Jason Todd than any of Clark Kent's biological sons.